life, sometimes we all mess up. We slip up, we make mistakes, we drift away from what we know we're supposed to do. And the effect? We lose influence. Here's what I mean. Sometimes this happens in a big way. We make a big mistake, and what we did becomes the headlining gossip at school, or on the team, or in a small group, or on social media. Whatever we did was the cause, and the effect is people that look up to us take a step back. People that listen to us turn down the volume. And adults who respected us give us that disappointed look. You know, that's the worst look. Even the people that are normally quick to hang out with us, suddenly they're busy. Sometimes this happens in a small way over time. It wasn't one huge decision, it was a series of small decisions, small changes in our friend group, one-time things that turn into all the time things, until we're suddenly a different person and we're seen differently. How we treat people can increase or decrease the effect we have on the lives of others. Over time, if those interactions are negative, people could stop trusting us or stop wanting us to be around. And as a result, we can lose our positive effect slowly over time, before we even realize that our relationships have changed. And we can end up feeling like we can never get back what we lost. And here's the thing, losing influence happens to all of us at some point, because none of us are perfect. We all make decisions that create distance between us and the people around us. And when that happens, nearly all of us tell ourselves the same thing. That's it. Story's over. We mess up, do something stupid. People find out, and we either, we might decide not to go to church this week, or we decide to stay quiet in our small group, or just in our friend group. Or maybe we ghost our friend group, I don't know. And more often than not, 1 week turns into 2. 2 weeks turns into 2 months. And before long, we start telling ourselves, I used to be a church person, a God person, a small group person, but that's not me now. I'm not going to have influence or be a person who changes someone's life because of Jesus. Maybe I was once a person with a positive you effect on the people around me, but that's just not who I am anymore. If that's you, you're not the first person to feel this way. I promise you. The Bible is full of people who had a positive influence, lost it, and were sure their story was over. Just look at David in the Old Testament. He's the classic example. This week we're going to look at a woman whose influence nearly hit rock bottom. In her culture, women already had less influence than men. They were seen as property, and people believed that they had very little value. And in this case, the woman made some pretty bad decisions that led her to lose what little influence she might have had. Her encounter with Jesus was recorded by Luke, and so let's take a look at it here. The particular account begins with a dinner invitation. So we're looking at Luke 7. Verse 36, it says this, when one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him, he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. With that in mind, here's what happened next. A woman in that town who lived a sinful life learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house. So she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume, and she stood behind him at his feet, weeping. She began to wet his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. This might sound weird, but foot washing was actually pretty common back then, because everybody had to walk around on unpaved roads that were really dusty and dirty, and they walked around with sandals on, and their feet were disgusting. And so getting your feet washed wasn't weird. What was really incredible, actually, was instead of this woman coming in with a big vase of water or something, she came in with her own precious jar of expensive perfume. This was about more than clean feet to her. It was like an act of worship. And the Pharisee had thoughts about it. Luke 7:39 says this, when the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, he said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would know who was touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she's a sinner. The thing is, the Pharisee had Jesus all wrong. He thought Jesus would back away from being touched by a sinful woman, when in reality, this was exactly the kind of person that Jesus was drawn to. And the kind of people that were drawn to Jesus. He preferred it that way, actually. People with no influence were drawn to Jesus. People who were sinners were drawn to Jesus. People who had negatively affected others were drawn to Jesus. This woman knew that she had a bad reputation and no influence or respect in this group. And that's what drove her straight to his feet. Her appreciation for Jesus was fueled by her own inadequacy. She didn't hide from Jesus because she didn't measure up. Instead, she got close to him and worshiped him. Acknowledging her inadequacy is what brought her close to Jesus. Then Jesus tells a story and he goes on. This is in Luke 7:41-48. Then he turned toward the woman and he said to Simon, "Do you see this woman? I came into your house. You did not give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman, from the time I entered, has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. Therefore, I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But whoever has been forgiven little loves little." Then Jesus said to her, "Your sins are forgiven." Simon looked at this woman and probably saw her as nothing. But when Jesus looked at her, he saw something completely different. He saw potential, and he saw purpose and a positive effect for her future. See, up to this point, the cause and effect of this woman's life looked something like this. The cause, she was a sinner. The effect, people looked down on her and thought negatively about her, right? But this is the cause and effect of Jesus' response to her. The cause, Jesus loved her. The effect, Jesus forgave her and gave her a new start. No matter what you've done or how bad of a person you think you are or how people may see you because of what you've done, you are loved by Jesus. And you are free to love him back. You don't need to get it together, make up for anything, or try to be good until you can hang out with Jesus. You don't have to do any of that before you can know him. In fact, what's incredible about Jesus' encounter with this woman is afterwards, she had more influence than she could have ever imagined. To be clear, her story has been told and she's been used as an example of faith for thousands of years. Her actions are recorded in the Bible. And I think that alone is one of the most significant things a person could do with their life. They made it into the Bible, and her actions were incredibly significant. Think of it this way. Because of Jesus, we can change the effect we have on others. Just like the woman in the story, our mistakes don't have to erase the potential for a positive effect. Jesus has always been about new starts and do-overs. Maybe you're sitting here today feeling like you relate to this story because you made some decisions you regret, or you just assumed your bad decisions meant that you weren't the kind of person God would want to use. Or maybe you feel like you've made decisions that have caused you to lose your influence with the people around you. Sure, God forgives, but people still talk, right? Can you even change that? Either way, here's a few steps you can take to change directions. The first thing you could do, reflect. Ask yourself this question: what small steps or big decisions are leading me to have a negative effect on others? Is there something in your life that needs to change in order to have a positive effect on people? Secondly, confess. If there are choices that have led you to a negative effect on others, talk to God about it. Invite him into your mess. Just like the woman at the dinner party, we can approach Jesus no matter what other people think or say about it. He isn't surprised. He isn't mad. He's quick to forgive and accepts us just as we are. He sees us exactly as we are, people made in his image with incredible potential. You may want to talk to an adult about your past decisions as well. That's why small group leaders show up every week on Wednesdays and Sundays. They want to be a safe place for you to say anything they can help you figure out what to do next. Rebuilding trust with people takes time and some intentionality. Your leader can help. Identify a specific step you can take to move in the right direction, to rebuild trust after the negative effect you have had on people around you because of choices you made. Maybe it's apologizing to someone you've mistreated or lied to, changing the way you speak to people, asking someone to check in with you and remind you about the positive decisions you've made to change. Remember this, because of Jesus, we can change the effect we have on others. Lost influence doesn't have to be lost forever. You have the ability to take a step in a different direction. This is a truth that applies to everyone. Maybe you know someone who made some choices that disappointed you or made you think of them differently. If that's true, know this. Because of Jesus, they can have a new start too. And you can be a part of reminding them that they're welcome, loved, and accepted here. The truth is this is the last thing I'll say. All of us mess up sometimes. We take our you effect from positive to negative, and we need a fresh start. And when that happens, we're all tempted to give up, walk away, or assume that the story is over. But Jesus makes it so clear. Nobody gets to say the story is over but him. And when we take a step forward, he invites us to get up instead of give up, and to change the effect one step at a time.